To delve into the U.S.-triggered trade turbulence, that's become increasingly hard to predict these days. Our correspondent Lee Soo-jin joins us in the studio. Soo-jin, first of all, what could have been the reasoning behind the U.S. President Trump pausing his new tariffs?
Right, so Trump's decision, like you said, to pause reciprocal tariffs on all nations except China has escalated Washington's trade conflict with Beijing. While Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said this 90-day pause was Trump's plan all along, experts say the economic and political pressure just became too much for the Trump administration. Let's take a listen.
I suppose the U.S. government knows well about this because customers of the U.S. are the great buyers. The domestic consumers of the U.S. have to pay heavy burden of unrealistic price hike, not to mention of short supply of daily necessities, which could spike political pressure.
After Trump announced his tariffs on April 2nd, the broad-based S&P 500 lost nearly $6 trillion in market value, and at the close on Tuesday was down 19% from its February 19 peak. And it's notable that Trump's tariffs exclude only China, with both countries now fully embarking on tit-for-tat retaliations. Here's what the Treasury Secretary said.
This was his strategy all along, and that you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position, and we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't.
The move ensures that nations such as the EU will not find common ground with China to unite against the U.S. Let's take a listen to what an expert said on this.
Anyway, tariff war always leads to loss at the end of the day. But I think the U.S. clearly has very pinpointed target against China. So I'm not sure if this strategical alliance with Europe is going to really work.
But this pause does not mean problem solved. And tell us about how the stock markets responded after the postponement.
Sure, so while this pause has brought Korea temporary relief from the onslaught of steep tariffs, there's still existing tariffs in place that the country must continue to grapple with. The 10% baseline tariff that went into effect on Saturday remains in place, and the 25% duties on items such as automobiles and steel are not covered by the 90-day grace period. And starting May 3rd, a 25% tariff on auto parts will also go into effect. Here are some concerns.
Auto parts suppliers are facing significant disruption. Some subparts required for manufacturing are still being imported from Korea. So even if vehicle assembly happens locally, the impact of increased tariffs on imported car parts is still unavoidable.
But as of now, markets are seeing a recovery. A buy-side sidecar was triggered Thursday morning for the first time in over 8 months after the Kospi 200 futures jumped more than 5% from the previous session, coming just days after a sell-side sidecar was activated Monday, also for the first time in 8 months. A sidecar is activated when the Kospi 200 futures index rises or falls by 5% or more and stays there for at least a minute. A buy-side sidecar was also activated for the Kosdaq during morning trading for the first time since August last year, when the futures and the stock index each rose more than their 6% and 3% thresholds. The market rebound extended throughout the day, with the Kospi and Kosdaq indexes both closing up around 6%. This comes as the Wall Street reacted positively to the news of Trump's 90-day tariff pause. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose more than 7% on Wednesday, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq soared over 12%.
What could be done during those 90 days?
Right, so like we saw earlier from our colleague, the Korean government is moving swiftly to strengthen communication with U.S. officials. Here are some key areas that Korea should also focus on during this time. Let's take a listen.
With the United States, not only trade and tariff, but also shipbuilding, LNG investment in Alaska gas pipe, and defense cost sharing are expected to be discussed comprehensively.
As one of the Trump administration's key energy priorities is fossil fuels, has repeatedly urged Korea to join the Alaska LNG project. In response, South Korea's foreign minister issued a research tender on Thursday to explore ways to expand U.S. oil and LNG imports. Shipbuilding, where Korea is a global leader, is also emerging as a key area of cooperation following Trump's executive order to rebuild the U.S. shipbuilding industry, citing national security and competition with China.
Right, we will continue to keep tabs on that. Thank you, Sujin.
Thank you for having me.